do some quick reactions, playoff games. We got to go ahead and get this done and get this out for y'all because I really wanted to do it last night. And I'm watching the Ravens game, going into Buffalo. The first word that I thought about was turnovers. Turnovers killed that game. I said it before. I felt like the pick was a bad pick. The fumble was a bad fumble. I did notice on the replay on the play where Lamar fumbled, that was a high snap early, and it threw him off. You got to squeeze that ball and just go to the next down when you think about it in hindsight. But when the snap go around like this, and then you got to jump to get it, and then it's an RPO, and now the guy grabs your leg, you drop the ball. Von Miller really would have scored if the running back wasn't there, and that would have changed everything. But I wrote down turnovers and Mark Andrews because he had a key drop early. He had the fumble we all saw and the drop at the end that we all saw. What did you think about that game? What's your reaction to that game?
It's just a prime example of, not stepping up to the challenge and executing in the playoffs, man. This happens to Baltimore time and time again. They just don't compete at the highest level that they're capable of in the big games. They just don't. You come out, you fumble the ball. You had the miscue with Derrick Henry early in the game, where Henry dropped the ball, but the ball was thrown short. Like you said, Mark Andrews had a terrible game. I don't know what he was thinking, catching that ball across the middle and not putting two hands on it. He's trying to run like he's a wide receiver, and he's not. He's slow as Christmas. And then the drop at the end, it's just not executing down the stretch, not paying attention to detail, not being good enough in the clutch is what I picked up from the Ravens. And it happens, it seems to happen every year. It's just they have big seasons. You can't really from now on, I'm not going to judge the Ravens off of the regular season performances anymore. I can't do it, because they don't play like that in the playoffs. They just don't. That was a game that look at what they did in the second half. They basically shut Buffalo down in the second half, and they played up to their potential. And then when they got back in the game and have a chance to win it, they fumble it away. Three turnovers against the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. This is not to take anything away from Buffalo. They played a great game. I felt like their game plan early was solid. They kept Ravens. They kept the Ravens off balance, but this comes down to executing, man, and choking. They choked that game out, man. I said I gotta call it like I see it. They choked that game out, bro. You go out there, you drop balls, you fumble, you don't execute. Now you're at the house, you know.
I remember seeing last night you kept sending me emojis of an egg. I'm like, and they laying an egg in your opinion in that game. There is definitely some times in that game where I felt like on defense, especially the second half. On defense, I'm looking at the Ravens like they kind of holding up now. Like they're giving them a chance now. Because at the beginning, they was getting kind of what they wanted, in my opinion. And I was thinking like, well, you definitely gonna lose this game if you can't get some stops when you need them. And I felt like that was gonna be the problem for Ravens if it came down to it. I didn't think it was gonna be on offense. I felt like any kind of third down situations, Lamar can go get those if he need those. I noticed that the Bills kind of kept him off that field a little bit too. When you driving, you keeping Lamar over on the sideline, you can't be effective while he's not in the game. I also noticed Lamar, I said it before though, really when it comes to Josh Allen, I feel like he's gonna do whatever it takes to win that game. Like yesterday, they just needed him to be a rushing T. He was a running back yesterday. He got two rushing TD. Like his stats ain't gonna show you that. But I figured he'd do whatever it took. There was some big runs that Johnson had against them. I felt like they really couldn't stop him either, but they didn't really give him the ball as much as I thought they was going to give him because they looked like they couldn't really stop him. That second half, though, they got the stops they needed, held them to a field goal. And when you think about it, after all those turnovers, you still got a chance to, I mean, you drive the ball 88 yards on that last drive in the cold snow on the road, and then you get a great catch, in my opinion, by Isaiah Likely to slide under for the touchdown. But I was a little bit upset at the play call for that 2-point conversion. It was a drop, but when you roll him to the right, you really limited his options. That play was meant for Andrews the way it looked. Like I seen Likely running kind of in the back back piling, like
He done froze
on the
up on him.
backside of going across, but really he wasn't the guy gonna get that pass on that play. And it was, if you go back and look at it, likely thought Andrews caught that ball. He's doing like this, like, and it was really he just dropped, he dropped it. But to me, I need Lamar to have all the options right there. Go ahead. If you're gonna give it to Lamar right there, let him see everything. Like, cause you roll him to the right, now it's like it's got to be Andrews. And it was there. I'm not gonna lie. He dropped it. But you cutting the field off just by giving him only the right side to throw to. I guess they felt like he comfortable because he can definitely, righty throw that pass easy like he did. Um, but I felt like if you're gonna get the last playoff, you got to give him every option, man, because he might take off right there and score on you too. But he can't really do that on the rollout when you're supposed to
I
throw it.
mean,
But I mean, it was a non-executed play.
when I seen how they lined up, I knew they was rolling to the bottom of
Yeah,
the screen.
yeah,
Um, I kind of felt the play call because when he rolling that way, he still got the option to run. But
yeah,
Andrews came open so
yeah.
early,
Wide
he was
open.
wide open. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
I see what you're saying. I don't know. In that situation, I would have been a little bit scared. Not, I ain't gonna say scared. To me, you can't run the read option right there.
Yeah.
There was too far back. If you go shotgun and you just
Yeah.
drop back, I felt like he wasn't gonna be able to see as much. I felt like the reason why they rolled him out so he would be able to see. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I kind of like the play call, but he just he dropped the ball, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, ball hit him right in the stomach. He dropped it. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, you don't caught a lot of balls. It's hard to drop that ball right there. It's harder to drop that ball than it is to catch it.
Yeah.
And
You
if you
gotta
look at the
really.
replay, he if you look at the replay, he was nervous. His hands, he brought his hands up and hit the ball. Look at that replay.
It went through his
He didn't
hand.
even let the ball get in there to where he didn't know how to turn his hands. He blew that play, man. Andrews blew that catch. He put a nice he pump faked it at him first. Was like, look, I'm coming to you.
Mhm.
And
That
he
was a
just
tough, man. That was a tough one. It's
he
gonna be a
blew it.
tough
That was a tough
one.
game for Baltimore. But let me tell you something. You go home and take your medicine. You're not good enough, Ravens. You're not good enough. You got Derrick Henry. He only had 16 carries in that game. You look at them numbers, everything looked bad, you know. And like you said in the first half, Baltimore outcoached you because Cook was getting runs too. That's how they was keeping him off keeping Lamar off the field. They was running that ball on them boys. Now second half, halftime we go in, we make adjustments, we come out, we stop the run, we get stops, but you can't go down 21-10 in that game right there because when you go down 21-10, you got to play daggone near perfect to come back and win that game. And you see, they're not capable of doing it. They're not capable of playing that type of high level, perfect ball. They're really good, but they can't execute down the stretch, man. They just can't.
Let me ask you this: do you feel like this happening over and over for that same team? Is that more on the coach, or is that on the players, or it's a combination of both? Which one do you attest that to, that it's happening to the Ravens each time? It's on them every time. It's me, yeah,
It's definitely it's a combination of both. The coach has got to wear this. This is his team. This is his unit. You're trusting Lamar Jackson. Remember what we talked about what Maurice said. You're trusting him to do everything. Remember what we said. It's got to come from Lamar to win that game. You saw that last night. They're not going to give it to Henry enough for him to really win the game. Lamar's going to have the ball just like in the first half when he fumbled and when he threw that pick. They're going to trust him to win the game, and he's got to make the sometimes, and I saw this with the Patriots, man, for years. Your coaches got to bail your quarterback out. You got to make the job easy as you can for the quarterback. You understand what I'm saying?
yeah,
That Lamar has total freedom to do whatever he wants. Maybe he don't need it. He's not winning.
yeah,
What I mean by that is sometimes we need to take the ball out of his hands too. I'm gonna run the ball 10 straight times with Derrick Henry. If you look at Justice Hill was running the ball too. They were getting
yeah,
yards. You know what I'm saying? But you back up trying to throw that thing, and you minus Zay Flowers, and then you don't make smart decisions like taking a sack. Sometimes you got to take a sack. Sometimes you got to throw the ball in the dirt. Sometimes you got to get an intentional grounding. That's better than a turnover.
Yep.
All of those scenarios is better than a turnover.
Yep, and I saw his
You know,
post game where he was talking about how he really felt like he couldn't throw that pass because it was an RPO, but that would have been better than the fumble. It's about taking what you think is going to be the best thing for you in that scenario. Like
and
the
and
play he
and
fumbled on is an RPO play, not even a play where
yeah,
you can throw a pass, but still
yeah,
the grounding instead of Von Miller running for 30 yards down the field.
exactly. And I'm gonna tell you what else I saw on that play. You talked about the snap. The snap was high.
Yeah,
Once he caught the high snap, his thinking process
yep,
went back to yard ball.
yeah,
He went back to I gotta shake everybody. Go down.
lost the ball.
Go down.
Yeah,
Live to play another down, man. Lamar's got to learn that, man. You can't. You're not Superman. You can't shake everybody. Sometimes you got to play smart, man. Just like what Josh Allen did. He did exactly what Buffalo needed him to do. And yeah, he ran y'all over in the red zone.
definitely did twice.
Ran y'all boys over.
Yeah, he's one of those. If you get 2 yards in, Romo was saying like you pretty much can do the tush push with him, or just to give him the direct snap. He's pretty much gonna fall forward. It's one of those cheat codes, almost like how Cam used to be when he can just go run you over and get a yard just by falling down. So we're gonna congrat all the Bills fans out there because they going up. They got to go meet the man, and we'll talk about him later. They're gonna have to go meet the Chiefs, and they got to go play that in the Arrowhead. So that's what's going to happen with that one. I'm going to move on to the Rams. The Rams going into the Eagles, and you talk about, in my opinion, both games on Sunday were elements played a part. You can definitely tell in this Rams and Eagles game, elements playing a part. One thing about it, I felt like it backfired, in my opinion, on the Eagles because you really couldn't get your wideouts involved in this game, so you really had to end up really making this a run type of attack, and it came first with Hurts, 50-yard run for six. And then, like I said, man, the last time they played, Saquon had a 255. We said it. The coach was gonna be in the meeting room with the red laser. When I do my hand like this, just imagine a red laser that look like a beam on the screen. That's how film sessions go when you're a player in there with a coach. They put a red beam on the field and they just put it right where you making mistakes at, and they just show it all day. And that's what happened early in this year when you give up 255 yards to one player. That's what the Rams did when they played Saquon the first time. And this time he came up about what 50 yards short. He almost did it again. He had 205. What do you think about this game, man? I thought the elements killed the Rams. They were dropping balls in that snow that Stafford was putting on them. But anyway, what you think?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought the Rams played tough
They did.
with the elements and all of that stuff. That's not gonna go in their favor. I felt like the Rams played tough. I felt like they did what they could do. You know what I'm saying? They made it a ball game, but Saquon Barkley is too much. And then you let Jalen Hurts break early in the game because you worry about Saquon, and he
Yeah.
pulls it and don't get touched on a 50-yard run. And like I said, in the middle of the game, Rams didn't give up. Rams made some plays. Stafford made some throws. But that Philadelphia defensive line was the difference in that game. Saquon Barkley and that Philadelphia defensive line was too much. They just they put pressure on Stafford the whole game. Cooper Kupp couldn't get going. The Core couldn't get going. Uh, I felt like the little brights, the turning point in that game is when Williams fumbled the ball.
Yeah,
Williams was rushing that ball.
I agree. He
Williams
had
was
over
getting
100.
5, 6, 7, 8 yards a clip on them
Yeah.
boys, man. He
Yeah.
was he was the equalizer to me. The Rams, without that fumble right there, that's a really tight game. Rams might have even could have pulled off an upset. But you can't go in there holding the ball. And if you look at that play, he's holding the ball in the wrong hand.
Yeah.
He's holding it towards the defense, and then he don't got two hands on it. Anytime, running back coaches will teach you this. Anytime that you're within a couple of yards of the line, you got to have two hands on that ball, especially in the weather like that. You know, one look. If you look at the way he poked the ball out, it wasn't like a real big, punch or nothing like that. It was just a regular poke out. You got to cover that ball up, man. That was a huge fumble. That fumble was huge. That fumble takes away the game that he had. You said he had 100, right? He
Yeah,
almost had 100.
yeah,
That takes away all those good runs that you did right there because you didn't cover the ball up. But Philadelphia's been eyeballing the Super Bowl the whole year. That's why they got Saquon. Uh, they got the Washington Commanders coming up now. Uh, Philly is on their way. It's going to be a good one. Jalen Hurts is back healthy. They're going to probably of course, have better, might be a little bit better weather, coming up here this weekend. Um, I just like to, just got to commend the coaching staff for the Philadelphia Eagles for sticking in that game and getting it done. That's the difference right there. They got it done. They did whatever they had to do. It wasn't pretty. They didn't do a whole lot of throwing, but the defense came to play. Slade was all over the boys out there. Um, they
yeah.
really played a tough game, but I do want to give the Rams some props because they didn't just roll over, even though it was snowing out there. They played some good ball too.
Yeah, their defensive line was getting sacks still. They like ranked in the top five with sacks in the postseason run. Like this Rams, and I ain't gonna lie, I know they got a lot of it against Darnold in that first game, but they was getting after Jalen Hurts too. And Stafford he fumbled one too. Like sometimes it's just like them element. If you don't get that ball covered up, when you go back and look at that Saquon run, when everybody watched the replay, the 70-yarder. He bounces to his left, but when he bounces, he got the ball covered with two hands. It's a real fundamental. That's just like a part of the game you got to do. Like
Absolutely, man.
so,
Absolutely. Saquon we talked about it earlier. He's a generational, once in a lifetime type of back, man.
yeah,
He's that good, and he looked the same way to me when he played for the Giants. So I don't understand, that's a whole nother conversation. But
yeah,
how do you trade a guy like that? I
yeah.
don't care what happens. You don't
Holland
trade.
Roseman for the Eagles is pretty much they winning because of him. Like the players he's getting is like crazy. Like we got better players out here. I mean, the Rams did what they could, man, but they got better players. Puka Nacua was dropping mad balls. He caught the one that he needed at the end though, but still like that
He
phone.
dropped a couple across the middle, went right through his hands.
Yeah. And he
You
and,
know,
and Stafford had him one time, but he couldn't get there because on the deep pass, couldn't get there. I don't know, slipping or what, but he couldn't get there. That could
I
have been
saw that. How do you not get to that ball?
that's what
How
I'm
do you not
saying,
get to
bro.
that ball? He might have saw it too late, or ball looked like it dropped right beside him to me. You got to
That's what I'm
dive for that
saying.
or something. But
Man, I put a tweet out after the
Nakua's a young
game.
player. He's a young player. He's got to learn more. I don't know what's going on with Cooper Cup. He caught one big ball I
Yeah, I didn't
saw,
see him catch one.
but
Yeah,
he's not the technician that he used to be on those routes and things of that nature. And Stafford's not even looking for him like he used to.
yeah,
He's looking for Nakua. And but like I said, they fought hard as they could. The defensive line did play well. But on to the NFC Championship for the Eagles.
yeah. On to the NFC Championship, and they're gonna be playing Washington, who beat Detroit, and we'll talk about that game next. Washington went in Detroit, put up 31 points in their first half. Before the game, we talked about it. I'm like, this could be a shootout, but that's really what Detroit does. Like they do the shootouts. But that's another one of them times where we talk about turnovers to me. Like golf, you came out and you threw a pick six. You threw a pick six, you fumbled one. You had a tough game, man. Like I ain't gonna lie. Like he was really kind of playing against his own team, in my opinion, in this game. Like, what did you think about this game? Because to me, golf can. I mean, he probably the first one in the facility in this offseason, man, ready to get the next season going because he know he ain't play well.
Hey, Detroit, way to go out there and choke it. That's all I got to say. You look at the stat sheet. Gibbs had how many yards? He ran all over them boys.
Yeah,
You let Washington out hustle you, if there's such a term in football. They were hungrier. I mean, Washington jumped all over them guys, man. They jumped all over them. Terry McLaurin.
big
Washington
play.
looked like the better team out there to me. They looked like the better team with the exception of Gibbs. That
Yeah,
and you said Montgomery might play. Montgomery got out there.
yeah,
Um, they just looked like the better team. Washington, I did not see that coming. You know, if you look at the way these teams were playing, Washington has been playing some good ball, but they dominated that game right there. To me, it wasn't even close to me. I mean, it was a lot of points being scored, but Washington could run it, they could throw it,
Yeah,
whatever they wanted to do. You know, and Jaden Daniels. Listen, we've been talking about this guy all year. He's big time. He's big time. He's in the spotlight now, and he's going to the NFC Championship. And I'm gonna tell you right now, he ain't going. He's not gonna go down easy. Not even to the Eagles. It's gonna be tough. They've proven themselves that they're a big time team and organization. You know, they had Joe Gibbs at the game. Old Joe was at the game. Listen,
yeah.
the
Legend,
Commanders are for real.
legend. I'm gonna
Yeah.
say this about it. Another thing too, like because I think McLaurin's play was big, and De'Ami Brown was making some plays for him too from the wideout position. But before that game, man, I said it. You can go back and look at it. The last YouTube, I'm posting this one, but the one we just posted before this, you bring your run game on the road, Washington, this thing going, it's gonna tilt a little bit. Like I felt like they was running the ball how they wanted to, like big break, long runs, like and those kind of gash and runs can they can mess you up, I'm sure, as a D coordinator. I know that Aaron Glenn is doing a great job all season with that team. All these players getting hurt, but I felt like you felt Washington was getting whatever they wanted, man, in my opinion, in this game. And then Detroit started getting extra. They almost like trick play their way out of this game. Like you go for the reverse. He scored on it on the reverse early. Now you try to throw the reverse pass. And I feel like he threw that because they told him like it's gonna be there. Like like throw this.
Why do you call that play again? You scored on the reverse. Don't call that play no more. I don't care what variation of the play. They're not going for it. Once you beat somebody on the reverse, everybody knows that you're not gonna be able to come back and throw no pass off of it. It's not gonna happen. Um,
Got too cute.
they got too cute out there, and I'm gonna tell you right now, Jameson Williams, explosive,
Yeah,
explosive runner. You know, like I said, we thought that before that game that Detroit had the better athletes on the team, and before they played, I would have said yes, but
yeah.
after the game, it didn't look like it. It did
Nah,
not look like it. It looked like Washington had just as many good players, and they were more focused. And look at the play Terry McLaurin makes when he runs away from them guys out there. I mean, I feel like he's been waiting on that his whole career. You
yeah,
know, we've always, me and you talked about McLaurin and the way that having all those quarterbacks kind of hurt his career because he's always been a big time receiver. You know,
yeah.
and I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm kind of happy for Washington for the Commanders. You know,
Same.
they're going to the NFC Championship.
Same. I'm the same way. And Terry McLaurin, he been balling all year. He coming out from Ohio State, and they got the championship game coming up. So we'll talk about that too real quick. Just get the picks. But I'll move on now. They came in, they won, they conquered it on the road. It's gonna be a long season, long off season. I saw the interview, coach Dan Campbell talking about how it's gonna be a long off season. He said it the year before when they lost. They lost a tough one. He said it's gonna be a long road to get back. Um, but like you said,
Before you go on, let's just say think about the conversation we just had with the Baltimore Ravens about the Baltimore Ravens, and now we're having this conversation with the Detroit Lions.
yeah,
Two elite teams that can't get it done in the postseason.
player personnel, they got the players. So that's what I'm saying. It's a combination of both, huh? It's the coaches and the players got to go out there and make that play. Like you getting turnovers though from your quarterbacks in these games too. That's a thing. Y'all turning the ball over, guys. Golf, that was a bad. I mean, he had a 5-pick game one time. They still won that game. We talked about it last time, but you can't do that again. You can't have that again in the playoffs, bro. Especially when the
Definitely.
other quarterback ain't turning it over. Like, come on. So last game, that was really the first game. Texans going into Arrowhead, and they're upset about calls. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm prefacing it that way because when you go somewhere on the road, you're gonna get, in my opinion, you're gonna mess around and not gonna get the calls you're supposed to get. They are some tough ones. Them, I'm not gonna lie, tough calls. But do I feel like that's the reason why they lost? No, I don't. I feel like they lost because turning the ball over and their kicking game ain't helping this game. Like you missing field goal, you getting field goal blocked. You on the road playing Chiefs. So what you think about this game?
Um, this game right here kind of went down the way I thought it was gonna go. It was early in the game. The Texans were ready to play. You saw Collins. They couldn't stop Collins. Collins is a big time receiver, but as the game progressed, the Kansas City Chiefs returned the championship form. We talked about that. Them getting back to that level in order to win, and that's exactly what they did. You can't turn the ball over out there. You gotta try to look at the play that Patrick Mahomes makes falling down, and then everybody looking at him, but Travis Kelce's wide open in the end zone.
He's wide
How
open.
do you leave this guy wide open in the end zone, man? This guy done caught more touchdowns than anybody in the
Yeah.
playoffs. I mean, you just it's the mystique. You get mystified by a team like this. You saw it with the Patriots back in the day. It seemed you're not going to get the calls. I only had a problem with one call, and that was the roughing the passer. That's the only one I had a problem with because that was a 3rd and 9,
Yep.
and the Texans, that game was close right then. But even if they do get that call right there, they're not beating Kansas City in the 4 quarters of
Yeah.
ball. They're not going to do it. I didn't see it. Kansas City started running the ball as the game went on. They just executed better. And I want to say something about that boy, Xavier Worthy. That boy can play ball.
Oh
He
yeah.
ain't Tyreek Hill, but he can play some ball, man. I promise you. He's a good little receiver, and that shows you how they jumped out there and grabbed him. And everybody was like, "Oh, what are they doing in the draft? Jumping out grabbing this guy? Look at what's going on." That's Andy Reid and that
Yep.
coaching staff, organization being better than you down the stretch. That's what's happening. I took that spread
Yep.
and
Me
I
too.
won on that game right there. The spread was 9.5. I know it
Hopefully
wasn't
y'all
what the
did
spread. The
too.
spread was
It was at 8, I think. Was it at 9? It was at
no, what
9.
it
Ended at 9. I might have been 8.5 and then ended at 9, I think,
ended
right?
at 9. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it kind of moves right
But
before
the
you put the bet in.
safety,
But I
the
know.
self-inflicted safety. The
Hey,
self-inflicted.
listen. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That I mean, come on, man. And I just think Andy Reid is too much right now. You know, he's really at the top of his game still. And they still in that gauntlet though. They got through ring number 1. Now they got to get through Buffalo. They got a gauntlet to go through this year. So we're gonna see. Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes, man.
And they
You know,
activated Travis Kelce again, over 100. No matter what you thought was going on regular season, he catching for over 100 in a touchdown when it's playoff time against you right now. And I felt like Spagnuolo was dialing some things up because, man, CJ Stroud, he seemed like he limped every play from getting hit. He probably came in a little injured, but he getting hit in these games. But like he got to figure that out too. They got to get right up front.
and and
And they
and,
played
and,
with a
and toughness.
handicap, in my opinion, at receiver because nobody else was making a play but Collins. They've been hurt. So,
Yeah, they didn't have nobody but Collins. And you look at the toughness is, Philip, this just better than anybody. Toughness is the key, man. Stroud out there getting hit one time. The first time he get hit, now I'm hurt. I mean, you got to suck it up sometime, man. I
mhm.
mean, you showing your play. You're the leader of that team. I'm not saying that you don't have injuries, but you gotta suck some of them plays up, man. You gotta show some heart out there. It's football, you know what I'm saying? And I just felt like, toughness plays a part in football, And if you show your players, your teammates that you're not tough,
Yeah.
they ain't gonna be tough.
Yeah,
You
he
see
was
what I'm
taking
saying?
off
So it's
on
like
some runs, getting hit, he was getting bumped. He was taking off trying to get them first downs, running
you
sometimes, but
got
there
to.
were times where you gotta, it was some stand in the pocket throw times where you felt like, all right, I got hit that last time, my knee, you know what I'm saying? I could tell it. You could just tell it watching it, like,
Yeah, yeah.
you
He was
know,
he was
you
just he
running
was
up on
suffering out
a
there.
real great team, and hopefully they can learn from that. I think they really overachieved it. They were off and on all year to me this year. They had great coaching, like you always said, though, and that's gonna always make a difference. You got somebody that's gonna put you in the right positions. I think about the offensive coordinators between them because last year, these were the guys we were talking about. Houston Texans offensive coordinator because of how he did CJ Stroud, turned him into a rookie of the year. And then offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, and how he turned them around and had them winning a lot of games. Detroit Lions got out to that great start. They only lost a few games, so they offensive coordinator is up for like jobs right now for how good he's been calling plays. And Houston Texans had a kind of off and on type season, but they got a new weapon in Joe Mixon. So I seen how they were using him. But when you think about it, Detroit O coordinator, he got a little bit too tricky. They end up losing, trying to call too many of these. You going reverse passes now. And then I felt like the Texans, they kind of, you asked me, like, outside of needing to, play tougher, man, you need one more wide out there, in my opinion. Like, you're not finna Collins, the double
They
coming
they
your
they,
way
they,
soon.
they were outmatched. They were outmatched. They did what they could. They tried to keep the game close. But Kansas City gonna do whatever it takes just to beat you. They ain't worried about blowing you out. They just gonna get you off the field and they're gonna have the win. So, I give I give D'Amico Ryans and his team some props for getting to the playoffs and getting as far as they did. But now it's time to watch the big boys play.
Right, that's what it looked like right now. Before we go real quick, I wanted to see what your pick is for this national championship. You going with Ohio State or you going with Notre Dame? And tell us why really quickly if you can.
This is a tricky one, man. This is a tricky one right here. My first glance is to say Ohio State, but Notre Dame lost one game the whole season, right?
And that was
And that was the
early.
Northern Illinois or somebody like that, right?
They won 12
They've
straight
been
to this game.
clicking. They've been clicking on all cylinders here, and they're a tough team to me. Notre Dame, is the team that is on the rise. Even though they're Notre Dame, I don't know how Notre Dame could be on the rise, but I feel like they are.
Yeah.
Ohio State, they there every year. They know how to play big time ball. Uh, I'm gonna take Notre Dame in this game, and I know it might be kind of a stretch, but I feel like Notre Dame has the most to prove. You know, and I feel like their coach has the heartbeat of that team. He's a player's coach. Uh, their defense is incredible, and their quarterback is an athlete. He ain't the best passer I've seen in the world, but they got some good running backs, and that quarterback will stick his nose in there and make plays. I'm gonna go with Notre Dame in a close one, in an epic battle. It's gonna be a good game. Ohio State, now I'm telling you, they'll try to onslaught you in the first quarter of that game. That's the type of team Ohio State is. They will try to blow you off the field early if you ain't ready.
Yeah.
Don't get down too far behind Notre Dame, and think you're gonna come back. Stay in the game and try to steal it at the end. But I'm gonna take the Fighting Irish.
They got Notre Dame. They got Notre Dame in this game right now with a coach that has a team, like you said, the pulse of the team. He already getting interest from NFL teams and all that stuff. We can get into that at a different time, but they have Ohio State at 8.5 for this game. So obviously, if you're going with Notre Dame, we saying right now, or at least you're saying that people probably need to go ahead and see if they can get in on that because you just never know in a national championship. I was out on Notre Dame early this year. I felt like they got in and not even having a conference to play in. But then I said, who are they playing in the season? And I'm looking at their schedule. They beating good teams, man. Even though they lost, they were beating some good teams. So they definitely deserve to be there. And then the playoff format, the way it's constructed as of right now, you get to play against the teams that you can, to try to win and get in advance. And they did that. I mean, they beat Georgia, and I ain't gonna lie, pushing some guys around out there. And Georgia got some real guys, in my opinion. I always feel like they do. But I think Ohio State defense, their DBs, in my opinion, Notre Dame wideout's gonna have to get open. And they did it against Penn State. We saw the highlight where the guy's falling down and he's looking
Mhm.
crazy. But I don't know if Ohio State DB's about to be falling down looking crazy. They got one of the best players in the whole college, one of the college DB history, in my opinion, Caleb Downs. He's one of the better safeties or linebacker type players. You can just put him anywhere. He man return punt. How many people you seen return a punt? But they also play on defense, and like he's one of those guys. So he's gonna be flying around. But then number 4, Jeremiah Smith. It's gonna change if they really feel like they're gonna do what that DB said on that interview where he said they're gonna man him up because that game gonna change now. You need to go in there with that Texas game plan defensively like they did against him where the double team was waiting on him. He looked like he couldn't do anything. That's because everywhere you at, somebody looking and making sure you there. So it's a DB talking, but really, I think
Yeah,
the
look,
game
we're gonna
plan.
man you up. We're gonna man you up, but it's gonna be two of us on you.
That's right. Yeah. I'm about to say it's a
That's
DB
what he was
talking.
saying.
Yeah, because really, like you not. I don't think you just about to man up number four. I'm going Ohio State in a slight. I don't think they cover the spread, but I'm taking Ohio State in this game. Ryan Day, great coach. They was talking about him early in the year, like he might be up for it, like could lose his job. He's one of the best college coaches in history. They lost to Michigan. That was a bad loss, but I'm going with Ohio State to win this game. We're gonna find out later. But I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody for watching. Make sure you follow us, share this, subscribe. Mike Jordan Publishing on IG, PH32 Films on IG. Turnovers cost these teams. Um, and now the big boys are playing, like you said. You got anything else before we go?
No, you summed it up. You said it on the last podcast. Turnovers, 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 baby. Like Dick Vitale say. Listen, you can't win giving the ball away to the other team. I mean, you just can't. Now you got the whole offseason to think about that. So
And
try
it's
to come back next year and do better, man. That's all I can say.
get security for Mark Andrews. All right, we'll see y'all later.